Hello guys, today in this video we'll be talking about algebraic language. The only thing that you should know when it comes to algebraic language on grade 10, it's only mathematical terms and their meanings. Those terms are product, quotient, sum, difference, factor, additive inverse, multiplicative inverse, identity of addition, identity of multiplication, coefficient, solution, reciprocal, input variable, output variable. Okay, let's talk about product. What is a product? A product is the answer that you get when you are multiplying. Example, 2 times 2. Your answer will be 4, which means 4 it is a answer that you get when you are multiplying. In other words, 4 it is product. Why? Because 4 is the answer that you get when you are multiplying. So anytime you are multiplying, the answer that you get, we call it a product. Same as quotient. A quotient, it is the answer that you get when you were dividing. Example, if I divide 6 divided by 2, I get 3. So 3 it is a quotient. Why? Because 3 it is the answer that I get when I was dividing. And then a sum. A sum is the answer that you get when you are adding. Which means if I add 4 plus 5, I get 9. Then 9 it is the answer that I get when I'm adding. Then 9 is also a sum. A difference. A difference is the answer that you get when you are subtracting. So if I'm subtracting 4, subtract 2, my answer will be 2. Then 2 it is a difference because it's the answer that I get when I was subtracting. Okay, so what is a factor? A factor is a number that multiplies with another number to get a product. Example, if I multiply 4 times 2, I will get 8. And then 8 will call it a product. So what is a factor? A factor is 4 and 2 because those are numbers that were multiplied to get a product. Which means a factor of 8 is 4 and 2. Additive inverse. Additive inverse is a number that is added to another number to get an answer 0. So if I add negative 2 to positive 2, I will get 0. Okay, so negative 2 is a additive inverse because it makes my answer to be 0. And then multiplicative inverse. Multiplicative inverse is when a number is given to multiply with another number to get an answer 1. An example, if I multiply 1 over 2 multiplied by 2, my answer will be 1. Then an multiplicative inverse here will be 1 over 2. Someone asked this question, if I add a number to 0, then what is the answer? Obvious, the answer will be that number. Because any number that is added to 0, the answer will be the number. Okay, so what does this thing called? This thing is called identity for addition. An example for that, if I have 3 plus 0, what is the answer? The answer will be 3 because any number that is added to 0 will be that number. If I have 25 plus 0, what is the answer? The answer will be 25 because any number that is added to 0 will equal to that number. So now let's come to identity of multiplication. An identity of multiplication is when a number is multiplied by 1 and it gives itself, which means that number. Any number that is multiplied by 1 will give you that number. If I have 9 times 1, the answer will be 9. If I have 20 times 20 times 1, the answer will be 20. If I have 100 times 1, the answer will be 100. Why? Because any number that is multiplied by 1 will give you that number. A coefficient is a number that multiplies or a number that comes before a variable. Okay, we'll explain everything about variable and terms, all of those things in the next video. But what I want you to keep in mind is that if a number that it's multiplied with a variable is a letter that represent another numbers or another number. So if I have 3x, so 3 is multiplying that x. So because 3 is a number and x is a variable, then we can say 3 is a coefficient. Why? Because 3 is a number that multiplies with a variable, okay, or a number that comes before a variable. Reciprocal. A reciprocal I can explain by saying it's a number that is given and must be multiplied with another number to get an answer 1. It's like the way I explained it on multiplicative inverse, which is a number that is given to multiply with another number and get an answer 1. A solution. All to explain a solution. A solution can be an answer, in my own words. But according to the statement here, they say a solution is a variable, it's a value of a variable that gives a statement to be a truth. Let's say if they say solve x, you will solve x and then you get x, and then your answer will be your solution, which means the number that you get when they say solve x. When they say solve x, the number that you get will be a solution. Let's say if you say have 2x plus 8 equals to 14, and then they say solve x, your answer will end up being 3, and then a solution will be 3 because you solve x, then that is your solution. An input variable. What is an input variable? An input variable is an independent variable. It's a variable that doesn't depend to other variable to have its value. An output variable is a variable that depends to an input variable to have its value. An example for all of this is, let's say we have t squared plus 2t minus 1. So what is an input variable and what is an output variable? So how many variables that we have here? We have t and r, which means 2 variables, okay? So what is an input variable between t and r? If you can see here, t is a variable that doesn't depend to r. The value of t doesn't depend to r. Understand? Because r is an output. Okay, so t is an input variable because it doesn't depend to an output, and an output variable will be r because r depends to t to have its value. Please guys, if you like this video, please subscribe and like it. Yes.